least one towel roll, maybe a headrest towel roll as well, and we come to supported Shavasana. So we're going back to bed, but not so much. And again, the hips are on the mat. And here's my towel roll over my head, which brings me into an extended or lengthened back of the neck or supported. If it doesn't feel right, then you just use the single towel roll or reduce the diameter. So take a moment just to make sure that the long towel roll is about 6 inches up from your tailbone. It feels okay. Your hips are on the mat. Maybe your feet are against the wall. And you lie down. And you begin to sense as you relax into the long towel roll, the spine in all of its entirety. And then we're going to bend the knees one at a time and maybe shift the hips forward a little bit. And so we get a little draw and lengthen of the spine. And let the arms lay down on the ground with the palms to the sky. And again, just take a breath or two to check in or adjust. And so we're letting, as our arms come out like a snow angel to the side body, we're letting the body shape to the towel roll. So now you can feel maybe the shoulder blades spread and lay across the towel roll heading toward the floor. And just start to come into the rise and fall of your breath. And there's always a certain amount of resistance to props. The main prop being your own body. So as you exhale, try to release and relax as if this were your bed, so to speak. As strange as it sounds. And the yoga bed is the body, but also the yoga postures are our little rest stations. And we try to relax into them in what's called a yin yoga way, in a more passive way, to let the body shape over the props. Let's start to roll from left to right gently, letting the head roll, the knees spill over a little bit to one side, and head rolling in the same way. So it's almost like you're just getting out of bed or thinking about it. And if you've got the towel roll under the base of the neck, you get a nice massage right at the occiput and the suboccipitals. And you can roll as deeply or as little as you want. Some people traveling all the way over so that one of the legs reaches the ground. Inhale through center and exhale, drop. So a couple more rounds, pretty easy entry, and just feeling most of our sense attention or sensory attention is to the front of the body. How do I look? Look in the mirror. Is my hair good? Etc. But closing your eyes, can you feel the massage on the back body, the back ribs? Maybe a little bit of the front arms. Pectoralis minor getting a little bit of a stretch. Then when you go over to the right the next time, bring your left arm up to the sky. Just see if you can grab that left wrist with the right hand. Give that left arm a gentle tug on the diagonal over to the right. And release. Take that left arm down. Roll the center. Drop the knees with the feet and hips still on the mat. Over to the left. And then bring the right arm up. Grab the right wrist and gently pull So that shoulder blade comes off the towel. Release, roll onto your back. Stretch the legs long once again, maybe to the wall, maybe not. And have a sense of connection to the towel, and the chest is open here. And if you've got the second towel roll, the back of the neck is lengthened as well. So let's bend the knees again and roll off to one side briefly. And you can take the long towel roll away from you unless you need it for your head. So again, I mentioned earlier, people with more curvature around in the back may want to stay with the head towel roll. That's up to you. Otherwise, you come down with the body on the sticky and straighten the legs without the long towel roll under the spine now. And now let the spine kind of breathe or open up on the mat. So when we use the props today, we're really using them to create sensation and in a soft way, unlike a foam roller. And then the fascia will say, ah, now I can release. And once again, let's bend the knees one at a time. Take the arms out to the sides, inhale. And exhale, as we've done many times, we're going to take the knees over to the left, the head to the right. And inhale to center, drop the knees to the right, and the head to the left. So start to work into these spirals. And don't get too pushy initially, but then as we've done many times, as you go to the right, you're going to push that left knee, which is your upper knee, a little bit away from you, stretch the psoas, just until that left hip comes off the mat. And then release, come to center, the knees drop over to left, and that right knee starts to slide away from you, like someone's pulling you by the knee, and your right hip lifts off. You get the picture, and start to move and lengthen the psoas. You can feel in your, maybe in your belly, stretch through to the back. The psoas muscle threads through the inner leg, through the gut, and then to the low back. So remember what we did moments ago, and if we take the knees to the left, and the right arm comes up, we grab the right wrist and start to pull gently over to the left. And now, as you pull, start to let that arm come on the diagonal overhead as the knee moves away from you on the opposite diagonal. And then release, and if my verbal cueing is deficient, take a peek, knees to right, left arm comes up, everything's rolling right, I grab that left wrist and pull maybe to like 10 o'clock, and I stretch and move the left knee away from me as well. So you can do that again, or watch, I can circularize this without grabbing the wrist. I roll the knees to the left, the right arm comes up, and then reaches overhead to 12 noon. So you roll almost all the way over onto my side body, but then I keep going with the circle, the right arm, and comes back down to the side. Knees go over to the right. The left arm comes up, over on the diagonal. I roll onto the right side of my head. Feels good. I reach on the side body. And then I backstroke. I roll into my head. I circle the arm. So you can see, and come up for a second and watch if you haven't. I'm just going for a little backstroke now as I swim over to the side, take a stroke with this extended arm. All the while, the upper knee is pushing away, extending. And so this is for the advanced folks who this feels good for you. Okay? And then we'll come back to center and extend the legs long for a second. Take a breath. So now we're going to take the blanket roll, and bending the knees, we'll take the blanket roll into the space where your belly and your upper leg meet. So we're going to squish the towel roll into the right belly and pull the right knee into both hands, up and up. So if you want to extend the left leg toward the wall, you can. Otherwise, keep the left knee bent. And then we've done it before. We're just going to gently pull the right knee toward us and squish that towel roll into our right belly and then release. So go easy, and you can start to circularize this squishing. This is the ascending colon. So this would be considered Kriya Yoga or cleaning work in your digestive system as we ground and just squish into that belly, but we're also creating space in the hip. And let's just simply try the other side. So extending the right leg or keeping the right knee bent if you need to for your low back, and then squish that little towel roll into your left gut and pull the left knee in. So you can glide the knee toward you in a way. And we're just feeling the hip, the belly, the pelvic half, and then we start to move in circular motions and probe like a doctor into our own hip flexor, maybe working on the diagonal, and you can kind of play and squeeze and move to your own measure. What feels good. And then releasing both legs. Just put the towel roll aside for a second, take your hands to your belly and feel the ease in the fronts of the hips. So if you're doing really gentle yoga, this is it. You're creating space, you're creating sensation, you are bringing some vivacity or some effervescence into the joint capsules. But now we're going to take the towel roll as we pull the right knee in to the back of the knee and squish right in that knee capsule. And again, you keep your left knee bent, or you can straighten it. Same thing, push and pull, Apanasana. And if you want, you can point the toes away from you as the knee glides away, and the arms are long, and then pull the toes, flex them toward you. And just start to move and creating space in that knee joint. Any circular motions, same thing. It's good, and then we'll switch. Easy peasy and also fun. We make a little knee sandwich for the left knee, squeeze toward us and away. If you have any knee injuries, hip injuries, then you're just working around those injuries with some amount of compassion. And then little circles. Remember, you can dorsiflex and plantar flex the toes as you push the knee away from you. Point the toes forward, inhale, pull the toes toward you. Just warming up. Okay, and then let's extend our legs. Feel the legs on the ground, and they should feel a little effervescence in the joint capsules, perhaps. That's good. And then we're gonna reach for our straps and have them handy. Pull the knees in, and let's have our towel rolls ready as we lift our hips and take the towel roll under the low back. Now, if you still have something under your head, I want you to make sure that at least the base of the head is on the ground. So you're not so much in the back of the skull and overextending the back of the neck. My preference is that you now take any headrest out for the moment. And let's pull the knees in like we're hugging the knees, and with the towel roll under the sacrum, we get a rounded back. And then we're going to glide the knees away and toward us and just warming up the sacrum, feeling that sacral bone and the hips. And then set the feet on the ground for the moment. And then we'll pull the right knee in and hold it. And we could slide the left leg long to the wall and push into it. And find a steady Apanasana. Make sure both sides of the sacrum are equally planted. And then reaching your left arm up to the sky. Inhale and backstroke to the floor beyond you. Slowly start to peel that right knee out to the side and hold. If you have the wall, you can push into the left foot and reach, as we did with our backstroke maneuver through the left arm. Exhale, just releasing, maybe even shaking. You can see what I'm doing. My left leg is relaxed, my right leg is relaxed rather, and my left leg is strong. Come back to center and switch. Both knees can be bent, and then I can hold the left knee, and if you want, extend the right leg. Find a steady Apanasana. And the towel roll is giving you some feedback as to the symmetry of the hips. In other words, I don't want to cock that left hip up in asymmetry closer to me on my head. I want to move it away toward the towel roll. Push into the towel roll. And then push into the wall if you can with the right foot. Left arm comes up to the sky and backstrokes the floor beyond you. Inhale. And then peel open that left knee. Maybe give it a little shake. Keeping your strength in your right side. And we're getting a stretch through the right hip flexor, but we're also opening up the inner leg of the left leg. These movements are simple, but they can be profound if you dig into them. Body excavation, 100. Let's come back to center. Lift the hips off the towel roll for the moment. Unless it feels good to have it there. And this is where the folks that have trouble getting their heads to the ground flat, you could go back to having your little towel roll under your head. Okay, so let's take a figure 4 now and draw the right ankle across the left knee. Pull the figure 4 in, flex the toes. And we can move this toward and away from this as well. And then drop the figure 4 down. The left foot's on the ground. Now I want you to take your strap and just loop it around that right foot. So you've got a figure 4 forward. And the other day we did this pressing the hips away from us, back traction. And then from here, we're going to take the strap ends into the left hand. So you've got the right leg across. And figure 4, we've got the strap ends tightly wrapped in the left hand. The right arm comes out. We're going to start to just lift the right foot up with pressure against the strap. And then put it back down. And then remember the Rockettes in New York. I'm playing to your city, Maury. So remember the little kicks of the Rockettes. So we're going to start to move toward a straightening. We're attempting to straighten this right leg from figure 4. We don't care if we get there necessarily right away because we're strengthening this outer right hip by kicking out and over to the right. But eventually, and you can release some of the strap to get there, this right leg is now extended. The left leg could slide forward if you want. Hold the pose And the pressure is going out to the right, but we're not letting the leg move. Now take a peek. We're going to reach up to the strap ends and cross them. I'm going to cross the strap ends. So they have a little cross, like a shoelace cross. And then I'm going to pull on one end of the strap and the other to invert or evert my foot. So again, a little technical, but this is basically pulling on the right hand to pull the inner edge of the sole of the foot toward you. Invert and then evert. I pull on the left hand, and this moves pulls the outer edge of the foot toward me. I'm just kind of moving the foot, which seems bizarre, but I'm stretching the fascia around the sides of the calf, the anterior tibialis. Good, and then let's take the strap into the right hand this time. For those that can't get the left leg extended, and even if you can you bring that left knee to bent position again? And now I'm going to start to go out toward the floor with that right leg. Oh, some of you can roll all the way over to the right side, even let your head roll over. And having this left knee bent allows you to do that. You can even start to push the left knee, that left knee over to the right, as we did earlier, and roll the body halfway over toward that extended right leg. Some of you getting the hands on each part of the strap now and pushing, 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 not only forward with the right leg, but into the floor on the outer edge of the right leg to strengthen that right outer calf. Okay, so then take your strap ends into your right hand again and come back up where we started, but watch. Now I'm gonna lay the left arm out on the floor and take a half happy baby. So what that is, beginners, is you've got the right leg extended, then you gently pull down, bending the right knee. Just the right knee is gonna come to the ground. Don't overdo, and what I want you to think of instead is get a modest draw, maybe the right elbow goes down to the floor, and then push outward to the right to move the right hip away from you. And this is strong work in the right hip. Really strong work. So go easy, but it's good for you. It's creating space in that hip capsule. Take a couple breaths. You can pulse and release, pulse and release. But a lot of times as you get older, you don't work the hips enough. Okay? Let's come back to center and straighten that leg one more time. And then take the strap ends into the left hand and just go a little bit over to the left with the right leg. Back to center, and let's release. Take a moment to just straighten the legs and feel any difference in the right leg and the left. So for me, my right leg now is just kind of, oh, thanks a lot, that feels good, and it's ready for bed. It's almost become invisible because it's not in tension. But let's try the other side to even things out. We're going to take our figure 4 and take the strap loop around the right foot, which is crossed over the left knee, and just reach the left arm through the legs and the right hand around. Both hands are holding either the right hamstring or all the way to the shin. Take a few breaths here. Now, just as a preview of coming contractions, notice, if you will, any tension in the left hip. And that's what we're going to be working with opening. So we're going to release this figure 4 away from us. Make sure you have the strap around the right foot. Then we're going to take the left hand and double up the strap ends and have the left hand holding pretty high up the foot. And then we start to lift the left foot up like the Rockettes. And don't even bother getting all the way to straight at first, but you're pushing against your strap held by your left hand. And you should feel the extension of the inner leg and the strength of the outer leg. Eventually, even if you need to release some of your length on the strap, choke down on the strap, you get that left foot all the way to the sky. And now you reach up with both arms. You could cross the strap, make a little cross here. And then remember, I pulled with one strap and then the other end, and I start to twist the foot from left to right. Go easy if you've got some knee issues. But this is interesting work on the fascia of the foot and the anterior tibialis and the shin bone. And of course, you could have the right leg straightened at this point, pushing into the wall for the moment. But let's rebend, even if you took a few breaths straightening the right leg. Let's rebend that right knee and collect the strap into the left hand. Start to glide the strap and the leg over to the left. You can look that way. And so as to make it easier to start, I'm going to just allow my body to flop over and my right knee to travel with me a little bit. So I'm pushing on the diagonal of this right leg. The left leg gets to the floor more easily, and I can push not only outward into the strap, but downward into the floor. And we'll roll back up where we started, and now happy baby, half happy baby. So we start to bend the left knee down toward the floor or the left armpit. And don't go too far, even if you can, because I want to not only pull downward, but then, and this is the subtle part, it's like you're pushing or moving through your own power the hip away from the midline out to the left. You're pushing outward as well, and this should create some space in the left hip, which you'll thank me for later. And you can push and release, or hold a static isometric pressure. Okay? And then straighten that left leg, and keeping that sense of openness in the hip, we'll take the right hand to the strap and just gently, either with the right leg straightened or bent, bring the left leg over to the right. Oh, not all the way. And just lengthen out of that hip. Come back to center, release, straighten the legs, kerplunk. Allow the toes to splay out to the sides. And you should have gotten a pretty good workout or work in to the hips. They should feel energized but relaxed. Let's work a little with the arms before we stand. And I would suggest maybe giving up your head roll, but if you need it, it's fine. And as we've done many times, let's create a trapeze bar or a pull-up bar, if you will, in our home gym. By taking the hands, you can see your knuckles, and the hands straight up and the arms straight up to the sky. And inhale, we're going to go back, and then exhale forward. And we've done this before, but it's going to be a little different today in that what I'll ask you to do now is to begin where we started and just go back so you're out of your range of vision. So not all the way to the floor, but halfway. And then I want you to bend your elbows so that you're pulling the elbows forward until the strap comes back into your line of vision. Reach back, inhale, arms straight, and then bend the elbows, pull. So what are we doing? We're doing a pull-up. Reach back, inhale, pull up. Tone the whole front of the body, feel the frontal ribs coming together. And of course you could do this with your legs straightened, because if you're doing a true pull-up, and some of you can feel the shoulder blades tracking or dragging down toward the heels. And let the head move in synchronicity. Reaching back, and then pull the chin tucks. You can go wider with the hands on the strap, and this is going to work different muscles in the back extensors. You can start to bend one knee and pull it up toward you, put it down, inhale back, and pull. But I'm just having you work in the arms a little bit. And then steady on, either the legs are straightened or bent, and find your at least shoulder width, if not wider. And we're going to start to travel over to the left. Inhale and back to center. And then inhale to right and back to center. Now you can start to do a circle like we did earlier. And go over to the right, overhead. And can you follow the strap with your eyes? This could be done with straight legs. It could be done with bent knees. And those that want extra credit, well, you just come up with the head, circle over, drop the head. And we start to work the ribs with a little more strength, where you can just stay working with your head on the ground, but feel the rib cage moving with the arms. Good, and then let's release that, and let's take the knees and hug them into the body, and then we're going to rock and roll, holding the backs of the knees up to seated. Or, nobody's watching, just roll off to the side and come up. So let's come up to standing and check in. Hopefully you're feeling that your hips and your arms are open, but let's just do a little swinging with the arms and the legs. So all this stuff is really, in my mind, practical ways that you can keep your body moving. Many of you are athletes or former athletes, and you want to be able to move in your body for a long time. And so by working in these joint capsules, now can you feel the knees, the hips, so you can swing around, move around the cabin, so to speak, keeping things open and strong. But now we're going to face the wall. We've done it before, and reach up, lift the heels, crawl, and then sink down toward chair pose, letting the hands slide down. Crawl, inhale, maybe lift up, and exhale, sink down. One more, lifting the heels, looking up, brightening the chest, and exhale, drag down. Maybe place your forehead down on the wall. Feet are about a foot from the wall. Sink the hips down in symmetry and lengthen between the rib cage and the hips. The hips are dropping. The ribs in the rib cage are lifting. The fingers are spreading. Simple, 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 but if you're really in your body, you can move and stretch in profound ways. And then coming up, and let's take our chair, and it's not necessary to use the chair if you don't have one and you're an advanced student. You could just take a warrior one into the wall. Or get a little closer and take your warrior one like so, pushing into the wall. But what I'm going to recommend is, if you do have the chair, or even a yoga block, is to take a warrior one with your foot on the chair. And then reach up the wall, inhale, and exhale, drop. Now really push into the back foot. And take a peek down at your left toes or on the foot on the chair. And create some ease and movement of the hip away from the midline. So remember we were in that half happy baby moments ago? I was saying, let's move this hip away from the midline. So you're not crushing that hip. And then come up and let's simply try the other side. So either with or without the chair, the right foot goes up. You reach up the wall and get as much length as you can in the arms. Inhale and drop in. So really push into the left foot now and feel this right hip, which in a normal warrior one gets crushed. And I want to move it away, away. Spreading the upper leg bones apart, spreading the upper arm bones apart. That I want space in the joints, not compression. Good. So try that again with the chair or without. And you can add a piece if you're a chair person by doing the following. Remember how we lifted the heel, inhale, and then sink down, exhale. Lift the heel, and exhale. So I'm pumping with the back heel, like so. So trying that on your own, or omitting the chair for the moment. Same thing could be done deeper, up and down, to feel the back heel planting and lifting, planting and lifting. Switch sides. Again, back heel lifts, head lifts, and drop. Lift, crawl, 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 drop and stretch. What am I doing? I'm creating a medieval torture. Someone's got me by the wrist, someone's got me by the leg, but I'm stretching my own body. And I'm not compressing in this hip, I'm not crushing down into the hip. So the back leg is super important engagement in warrior one, which is often omitted. Let's move on. So we're going to take our chairs into the wall so they're not going to slide. You might want your blanket if you found your Chippendale chair and it's hard. And I've got some padding here. But even so, say you just straighten the towel, because we're going to put the left shin bone into the chair now. Okay? And we're going to take a sideways warrior two orientation. So again, if it's a little rough on your knee, just put a towel roll. But why are we doing this? We're pushing the shin bone that way, and that push takes us into the action of the back leg. Once again, push that way to get into the back heel, spreads the upper leg bones, make sure the tailbone's dropped. Then we can take the hand to the chair seat. Who cares about doing anything more? But if you want to come down to front forearm side angle, notice whether you've started to create pressure in this left hip. And you push the shin into the chair and move, just like we're doing in half happy baby, move that hip joint away. Push in here, and then something resembling the full pose. But who cares? Push away from the chair. Create space in the hips. It's a lot of work when you do it right with the simple actions. Come up the best way you need to. Now we set up the triangle pose, straighten the front leg. And we can take the left hand to the chair. Same thing, I don't want to crush this hip. I don't want to take my right hand to my hip. This is for the beginners, but also advanced. And I'm going to have a slight rotation of that upper hip. Maybe I go to the floor of the front shin. And then I keep lengthening. In this case, I don't have the shin push into the chair. I push the foot into the floor. And just try to get out of that front hip. Out of the front hip. Ah. Stay here for 2 minutes. Or bend in the front knee, come up, and we switch sides. So normally in a yoga studio, you might do this with a block on your shin into the wall. So if you're sitting here, you're like, well, I don't have a chair. You know, often this is done just by going into the wall. But I like the chair because it provides some additional benefits. As the right shin comes into the chair seat and the back puts at 90, warrior two orientation. By pushing forward into the chair, I get this back heel, like a karate kick. Really strong, and we already worked this outer bank of the hip when we put our leg out to the floor, and I said, extend out, but also, right? And then I can come through that pressure, forward and back. I can come right into side angle pose without crushing this forward hip. So this is actually a lot of work in the legs to keep separating apart, the upper leg bones. So go easy, and then you're going to come up to Trikonasana, triangle. And you can just take the right hand to the chair, even bend the front knee. And the upper hip wants to roll down just a little bit. And that's going to pour the teapot, so to speak, of the head. And then the handle of the teapot is lifting. And then you pour the tea of Trikonasana. The bad jokes don't get better. But notice that right hip. Can you push away into the floor with the right foot? Stretch the adductor. And then let's come up. Good. A little bit of twisting work. First with the chair and then without. So let's take our right foot up to the chair again, hands to the wall, and take a moderate or modest stance. Take your hands to your front knee. Could you do this without the chair? Absolutely. You can go down into your low lunge. The chair work is interesting because I don't put as much compression into my front hip, and I'm really strengthening the back of this back leg. You can take your hands to the wall. Let's see if you can take your right hand to your right knee and just start to rotate your chest to the right. Again, I'm trying to keep out of this hip, moving into the back leg. And you could just walk your hand over a little bit, or you could start to come into a rotation, maybe grabbing the chair, or and really pushing to the back. Heel is the driver of the twist. That's the advanced pose. But no pressure in the hip, right? Just keep it. Okay, let's try the other side, the left foot, and take a modest stance, although in Parivrita, Parslakonasana, which is what this is, rotated Anjanasana or crescent lunge. A wider stance is generally easier, if you can. Hands on the front knees, sink in, back foot's at about 30. Again, I'm keeping weight out of this front hip. I'm putting a lot of attenuation into this back hamstring. Keep the left hand on the left knee and reach up to the right arm and rotate to the left. This could be it. Isn't this nice? Because I'm getting all this length. But you can take it deeper to your measure. And then come out safely. Let's take a forward fold into the chair. You can put your head on the chair, and then we'll regroup for our finishing poses. So coming up from forward fold, and let's take the chair aside and have a seat and just work a little more in the hips. Now that we've opened them up a little bit, we're going to take Baddha Konasana, and if it's hard for you to sit in this pose, you would take a couple of towels and sit on them and make allowances. Also, what you don't want to do as a beginner, especially if you're over 50, is to go look at some yoga book and say, well, that person has their knees down like that, and push forcibly, because you'll definitely tear something. So we'll take the hands behind the body on the fingertips and lift the chest and drop the hips. And then look down. Again, we're creating some space in the hips. And then we could take the hands either to a strap under the front of the feet or just behind. And as you attempt to do this posture, once again, the part of the mind that wants to do the full pose is there. That's fine. But I want to think of moving and creating space in the hips and the belly. And this plays into the last session core work. I don't know if NCE you come on, but using your Uddiyana Bandha, lift the belly to flare the hips away. Whether or not I can dive into this pose is somewhat irrelevant. So this could be it. If you're cursed with flexibility, isn't that nice? But even there in my morning body, my hips are saying, foolish mortal, why bother? Let's take the feet out and attempt to do Upadishta Konasana, since we didn't do straddle leg in our standing poses, and we'll do it here. Once again, if you're falling backward, you can take a towel under you, or you take one of your towels under your one bent knee, and then you find another little towel roll. Super fun, even if you're a yoga pro and you have bent knees, and you walk your sit bones backward and you walk your hands forward. Toes are pointing up to the sky and they're flexed back toward you. The calves are stretching, and the benefit of the towels under the knee is that that fascia along the calf, the toes pull back, is getting a stretch. So the back of the knee is fertile ground for opening. You take it forward, And having the knees slightly lifted allows me to, again, keep thinking of moving the hips apart, the hip capsules apart, rather than squishing them in. Over time, you descend further, but you don't want to crush the low back and the hip capsules. One or two more, and then we'll close off. Now we just pull the knees up like so and drop them over to the right. And we've done this before. And then we come to center and we drop to the left. So we did this on our backs when I had you spiraling the legs. But how does it feel now in the bones of the knees, the feet, and then as you start to reach over? You know, if you remember on our backs, we did this, and I had you do first something like this, pulling, and then we did some elaborate backstroking maneuver like that. So now is your time to play and revisit your days in the Martha Graham Dance Company. So here's the psoas stretch through this left leg. You know, I'm marrying it to a diagonal stretch of this upper arm. Psoas comes up through this leg, through my gut, into my back, and arguably into the fascia of this scapula. I could reach all the way to the ground here and start to drop. Stay there, move to the other side, shifting the hips. And just shifting the hips now is moving core work that we did on Wednesday and revisiting having the towel in the belly. But now, here's the stretch of this right leg, diagonal reach, right arm. Maybe all the way to the floor, maybe head drop. So a couple of iterations of that on your own, even if you're just saying, well, I look like this, like a water bug. And you're just moving your joints. Right? Well, okay. Shoulder. Of course, this is a fine way for those that can't do any yoga session without a half pigeon to just morph into half pigeon. Right? And those that need it, I use the rotation, kick the back leg. Now it should be rather like a piece of cake because we've already done a spiral rotation. So a little bit of that, and then if you want to add to the picture, you liked that towel work, how about taking the towel into the right hip and either with the knees bent or in a half pigeon with a straight back leg, to start to sandwich down into that hip. And then you can switch. Again, this could be done in half pigeon or just keeping your knees bent. So half pigeon is a combination of opening the outer hip of the front leg and the hip flexor if you end up straightening the back leg. The hip flexor that will be worked on in the back leg. It's endless, but we'll need to wrap it up. And so the inversion I had in mind was Viparina Karani, but there's versions. You can go up the wall, you can just use your chair. So if you're a beginner, the chair will be advisable, and I'll show that in a second. The wall, folks, you take one of your towel rolls, about 4 inches from the wall. You get one hip right up the wall, a little tricky. And you go up the wall, and now you can even take the hands to the area of the hips that we had and just gently push the hips into the wall. This can also be done with cross legs or supta baddha legs, or even the straddle we did moments ago, Upavishta, and see how I'm tractioning the low back and the hips. That's for the advanced folks. And then the beginners, you're gonna find your chair, which will never think of your chair quite in the same way again. Now it will be your beloved chair, your beloved yoga chair. So you do the same thing. You could have a towel roll under your low back as well. And you get on it like a side saddle horse. This is the only tricky part. And you could, I suppose, back into it from the ground. But if you can get your legs on the chair and then get that little towel roll on your low back, cross your ankles, let your knees drape over the front corners of the chair, and then just let the hips open this way. So now we're just draping the pelvis over the towel roll. So it's just draped over, gentle arch of the back. You can just rest your hands on your frontal hips, your belly. It should feel good, or arms straight out. And allow the hips to relax. Allow the shoulders to relax. And then as you feel your breath entering and leaving your body, the spine to relax as we started with. So feel the sensations in your body, which are the first preliminary move to meditation practice, is to merely notice the sensations coming through your body. And these are signals or manifestations or echoes of your mental state, your energetic state. Slowing down your breath for a couple more breaths, allowing your body to release into the form. And in an inversion like this, which should be a daily practice, allowing the lactic acid, waste products, the lymphatic system to drain, follow the lymph nodes in the inner legs and then up near the collarbones. And we'll roll over to the side when you're ready, carefully coming up to seated to close off. And here's where you would, in classical yoga, be pretty ready to drop right into meditation, which again, simply starts with noticing the sensations in the body. How do the hips feel now? The low back. You anchor to the floor. And the shoulders. Palms to heart. And feel a spreading. So when people bring their palms together, it creates all sorts of notions. But it's not a pushing, it's just a light touch. And then think of moving the collarbones apart as the thumbs gently raise the sternum and lift it up. Like you're going to hang the upper body and the head like a coat hanger on a rack. So the upper body is open and the chin drops like the
hook at the coat hanger and just lengthens the back